She's conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't discuss politics, religion, or money. And we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud.
Welcome to We've Got to Talk.
Welcome! Look at our patriot. We're both so red and white and blue.
To be an American. I like it.
So, y'all, we've spent 10 days. This topic, we are talking about our experience in consuming each other's media.
So you gave me the New York Times. So apparently you get most of your news from the New York Times. No, you gave me the headlines, which I liked because it was a quick headline. Here's what's going on in the world. Then you gave me the daily, which is then a podcast from the New York Times that does a deeper dive into a certain subject. Then the third one was Ezra Klein. I didn't get to listen to any Ezra Klein. I only did 2/3 of yours.
Okay. To be fair, I also only did 2/3 because you gave me America's Newsroom on Fox. You gave me the Free Press, and then you gave me the Evening News with David Muir on ABC. Now, here's where I had some issues. I don't have live television. So David Muir was out. I couldn't, and you told me that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that one.
Yeah.
When it came to the Free Press, I was like, oh, that's easy because I also get their newsletter, and I maybe don't deep dive into them every day, but this will be fine. Well, what ended up happening I would say about day 6 of this experiment, the Free Press isn't so free, y'all. There's a paywall after a while. And so I would find these, I really like how they report. They are very even. And then I'd be really excited about reading some subject, whatever it might be. And it was like, ugh, I only got like a third of it because then I was
well, to
over
be
my
fair,
due.
I don't subscribe to any of their stuff either. I don't pay for anything. So there are a lot of articles that I only get to see like the first third or, and then it goes and it says, please subscribe to get the whole story. And I'm like, no.
Right. Not
gonna
Fair enough. So then the American Newsroom. So this was really interesting to me because I don't have live television. Every day, several times a day, I would go online to see what American Newsroom, because they would show videos of what they would report. But because they, of course, don't report all day, they report their show is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. your time. There were so many videos from all the different shows, which I know that you don't watch. I can't even name you all the shows, but there were a lot of shows on Fox that have their videos.
News. Okay, yeah.
And in terms of America's Newsroom, what I will say is that it's by far the most moderate compared to all the other shows. Like for the most part, they're pretty even. And I liked their questions. I was like, okay, I see what's going on. But what was sort of startling to me, and interesting the way you started this conversation by saying the headlines was very even and this is the news. And I'll just start with America's Newsroom. There are so many breaking news. It's like all day long breaking news. It's flashy. It's really slick. The people are really pretty. And there's like banners, and there's banners on the bottom. There's banners on the top. It's flashy and sparkly. And I'm like, what is going on? It's a lot. It's a lot. And then there would be things like, this cracked me up. And this was on America's Newsroom. They did a report on travel and the travel delays and Memorial Day weekend. And of course, what we're all concerned about is the lack of air traffic controllers and the delays in the airports. They had a map and it said misery map on it. It was like, so what I found funny in terms of America's Newsroom, a lot of it was quite honestly some of the exact same news that I hear on the left. And I appreciated that. I was like, okay, here we have something to work with. But some of the language that was used, like misery, there was much more of a like fear angle. Now, this wasn't always, to be fair, this wasn't always the American Newsroom show, but there was a ton of trans stories and a ton of like illegal immigrant stories and a ton of showing footage, and this was not America's Newsroom, showing footage of police chases. So there was this sort of lens of, look how scary America is. Now, to be fair, since we started this podcast, I no longer watch or read anything like MSNBC. I used to listen to MSNBC and watch MSNBC every day. And I do remember during COVID too, that I would feel agitated, physically agitated. I used to watch Rachel Maddow and that kind of stuff. And then it would be like, Josh would like walk into the room and be like, can you please turn that off? And so that was a really interesting thing that I experienced in these last 10 days, was that when I would watch the Fox videos, I got really agitated. And I would think, oh, it would remind me, this happens when I would watch Joy Reid or Nicole Wallace or Rachel Maddow or Lawrence McDonald. Like, it was the same and different, like exactly the same. Flashing, maybe they're not as pretty, as the conservative world, but just that same sort of tactic, like, let's scare the crap out of our audience. It was sort of that way in America's Newsroom, but not nearly as much. But that was really interesting to me because there were times during the day that I would have to, like, I'm trying to do the research for this podcast, and then I have to walk away. This is really upsetting. For instance, there was a story where they had, and this was not on America's Newsroom, it was a different channel, or it was a different show. But they had this girl on that was a athlete. She was a amateur marathoner. And this host was interviewing her, and she was talking about there was a athlete who was trans, had been a man, was now a woman competing against her. And she was saying that it wasn't okay. Maybe this is not popular for a left person to say. I would agree with her. I don't think it's fair. But this host was then putting the Instagram posts of this athlete who's baiting the woman being interviewed. And the girl says, oh, I'm not allowed to see those posts because this person has banned me from Instagram. But the Fox host is like, what's your reaction? And I'm just feeling like, what? So I think part of it, Jolene, that my takeaway is there's not enough news for all these channels.
Yeah.
Yes, there's news in the world, but we don't need 24 hours of it every day, all day long. And so they start putting up stuff to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah, yeah. I found the headlines great. I think, and maybe we should talk about this, I get probably a half hour of news in the morning. When I'm getting ready, I've got the TV on, watching either the end of the Today Show. Like, okay, if I get in the shower by 7:30, I watch the end of the Today Show, then I get the beginning of America's Newsroom, and I'm usually done by 8:30 at the latest. So I'm getting a half hour of news. I'm getting, some entertainment with the Today Show, and then I'm getting, half hour news between 8 and 8:30. And then Jeff and I will sit and watch David Muir at night if we're not doing anything else. Like if I'm done with work
Right.
at 5:30, then we'll get to watch that. But that's really and some local news at 10 o'clock at night. I would say, but that's probably the only news I consume, with the exception of Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, and I'm not, so I would get my news from Instagram, and that's probably the majority of the free press stuff that I get is off of Instagram. So I don't think there's a lot of news. So going back, I think that I liked the headlines because it was the quick, down and dirty. This is what we're looking at today, and it's updated every day.
Did you feel, Jolene, that it was biased at all, or was it more just like straight?
Yep. The only thing that I would say is several times there were updates on the Russia-Ukrainian war. Mm-hmm. And for sure 2 times, maybe 3 times, that they would refer to Trump as, trying to negotiate this peace settlement and peace negotiations. And then they would always add, in which during his campaign said he could end this in 1 day. Like that was the whole line. Like they continued to tell you that.
Yes.
And he said he was going to end it in 1 day, and he didn't. Right. I felt like that's what they were,
Yes.
alluding to. And so that was the only time that I really felt like, okay, you didn't need to say that. Like we got it.
Right.
Just give me the headlines. That was the editorial part. But other than that, I thought it was, now some of the stories in the headline, or I'm sorry, in the daily, like this whole story on abortions and crossing state lines and.
Oh, I heard that one too.
Yeah. And so
It was about that doctor.
Yes.
Was it the Dr. Carpenter?
New York, I think.
In
yes,
New York,
yeah.
in New Paltz. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And-
wondering what you thought about that one.
Yeah, it was interesting because that was the whole point of Roe versus Wade, of having the Supreme Court rule on the Roe versus Wade was really about letting the states decide, not making it a national referendum or a national law, but having each of the states decide. And so now we're getting into this area where some states have decided. And so if you're a doctor in one state and that allows abortions and you write a prescription for a patient in a state that doesn't allow abortions, then, where's and there's no precedent for it.
Right.
So-
and there was that story about, I thought was fascinating, about the girl's mother.
Right?
That was,
And-
to me, that was
oh,
like
God.
really complicated. I'm like,
Right, and
where the girl's
mother-
mother's like, you're getting an abortion and writing this doctor in New York, and she's a minor, and I'm like, woof, this is.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
There's
was
a lot of
stuff in
that.
there.
So
it was interesting that they chose topics that were, probably. But it was a good topic, and it was
Yeah.
a good topic
Yeah.
to discuss, and it's interesting because it does kind of open up a whole can of worms of
Absolutely.
how do you
how do we deal with this? Yeah.
How much news would you say you consume a day? Like in terms of minutes?
Well, it's funny because certainly before this podcast, not nearly what I consume now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it's more like we'll have a topic. Like we're going to record climate on Sunday. So I'm trying to binge as much climate news as I can. So it's more pointed now versus just like everyday stuff. I think I do love podcasts. I always did before we decided to do our own. And so I listen to a podcast called Up First on NPR, which I also am finding to be quite left at this point. The headlines is much more straight. I listen to the Daily if I can, just because I love the way they storytell. It takes one topic and just sort of really blows it out in a way that I find it's very compelling. Ezra Klein, if I have extra time, but he's only once a week, thankfully. And then, like you, I listen to Tangle pretty much every day. Because, so since we've started the podcast, I would say I never see nightly news, ever. We get BBC News here, strangely, I will look at a little of the snippet as I'm flipping a channel to watch something I want to watch. Mm-hmm. I've always liked the glamour of the BBC News, just because I remember hearing when my dad lived in Carmel, they had access to this radio station. And so I would get the BBC News on the radio in the car. And I thought it was so cool because America doesn't tend to really look at international news that much. I found it really cool to like, what is going on in Africa? What is going on? You know, I always thought that was really neat. I would say since we started the podcast, certainly I am hyper aware of how things are reported now. So I will look at Tangle more than anything to try to stay as informed in a more neutral tone, because I'm so aware that the left and the right are saying things like, he said he was going to do it in 24 hours. And Instagram, like you and I are getting snippets all the time, and so is the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Like it is a problem because each snippet can slant to whatever opinion they want to sway. Yeah.
Do you think that our brains can handle this? I read something, and it was something on Instagram that said our bodies weren't developed to handle this much information from all around the world instantaneously. And, you know, we can talk about the wars and there's so much that we've just never been exposed to until now, when we are exposed to all this. That are we taking in all of this stuff and saying, we've got to fix it. I've got to do something about it. I have to help. And it's too much. And like, what's the point?
Maybe I've seen the same thing on Instagram, but this sounds totally familiar to me. And I absolutely agree with you. I don't think that our brains and our nervous systems can handle it. That I think that's why people are so filled with anxiety and depression now.
Right.
It's too much. Like, and the poor little kids and teenagers whose frontal lobes aren't developed, they really can't handle it. But neither can the grown-ups. Like, we're either like, you know, in this state of like, oh my God, the world is burning up, dying. We're at war with each other.
Right.
Like, what can I do, or what can't I do, or I can't do anything. And, you know, we've talked about this before, that it's like, actually, we need to put the phones down and just go walk around in nature and look at and say hello to each other.
Okay, so how is this narrative going to change? Because I truly believe that the thing that is just slapping us in the face right now is that media and journalism is biased. And there are, you know, we've talked about the 1440 and Tangle, and, you know, there are those unbiased, but I think you're never going to get rid of Fox News and CNN or MSNBC, NBC. So as long as you recognize that they are biased, I mean, is that going to be the way moving forward, that we just accept that we're going to accept our news?
There was another thing that I saw on Fox, that her name's Laura Trump, and she's a reporter for Fox, I guess. And
it's Trump's daughter-in-law.
Okay. So I found it to be really an interesting segment for so many reasons, because it was in regards to the Jake Tapper book. Mm-hmm. And I guess Jake Tapper was on CNN and Laura Trump was a guest. And I think it was possibly right after the debate. And Laura Trump says he's got cognitive problems, and Jake Tapper just, you know, slammed her down. And then, so the host of this particular program, I think it was
Megyn
Laura
Kelly.
Ingram. No, it was Laura Ingram is her show. She's
okay. Yeah,
she was biased. I mean, it was like, so basically what happened, I'm not being very articulate, that Jake Tapper apologized to Laura Trump and called her up. And so Laura's explaining that he did apologize. And there was a moment that I'm looking at it going, oh, okay, like here is something. And then the host is like, well, that's a little convenient, isn't it? Because his book's coming out. and Laura was like, well, he did apologize, and she agreed. And then there was this like very quick, like clear moment of like, oh, we need to turn it to hate each other. Like, this isn't going to be good TV.
But those are, I think those people at night on, and whether it's CNN or Fox or MSNBC, those are all like pundits, right? I mean, those are all entertainment. They're meant to get you riled up. They're not, I don't think they're even trying to pretend to be unbiased.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So in that regard, though, there are people that are addicted to the news. They're watching it all day and all night. How do we change the narrative? I mean, I feel like you and I are looking at it, you know, we're in our mid-50s and going, wait, how are we consuming the news? And yes, I have a certain beliefs that are not totally the opposite of you, but now we can look at the news and go, okay, what do I believe from this?
But you and I also grew up with Walter Cronkite, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, we grew up in a time, and anybody older than us grew up in a time where it was unbiased. And so we understand that was, and you even said this before, that if you gave, 2 minutes of airtime of the Democrat, then you had to give 2 minutes of airtime for the Republicans so that it was balanced. So now that we've gotten past that, and like you said, these 24-hour news cycles are having to come up with stuff to fill their 24 hours, I think it's going to be so interesting to look at this even 5 years down the road. It's almost like when you're watching a football game and you know that the commentators are for the Kansas City Chiefs, but if you're for the Oakland Raiders, or wait, it's not, I don't think it's Oakland Raiders anymore. No, I think it's I think it's the Las Vegas Raiders.
They've left Oakland.
If you're a Raiders fan, you're going to watch the same game, but you want to hear the commentator for the Raiders, not for the Chiefs. Is that how our news is going to be?
Well, I think that's how our news is right now. I think that's how our news is.
Right, but people didn't know that, right?
Right.
I mean, you and I think, are coming to this.
I thought that what I was reading or watching was the truth, listening to, and you thought what you were reading and listening and watching to was the truth.
Yeah, right.
It's fascinating. And, when most of us are like consuming on Instagram, it is absolutely edited to the way whatever we believe.
Yeah.
Versus what we don't believe.
Right.
But I do think, and maybe it's the idealistic liberal in me, but because I feel like people are starting to wake up and starting to understand what the hell's going on, that there are these independent news agencies that are going, we've had it.
Yeah.
Like there are reporters like Isaac Stahl who's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a journalist in this way anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to be a journalist the way I thought journalists were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which is, just reporting the news.
Yeah.
You make the decision. Here are the facts, or here's what we know that the facts are. And your friends in your conservative world, because I know you have lots of friends that are not conservative too. But do you think other friends of yours are questioning the way we are? Like, is it sort of more of the popular culture now that we now know, hey, what are we looking at here?
I don't think, and I have no scientific way to prove this, but I don't think they are as much as Democrats may be. Because I think Democrats were so taken aback by the results of this election that they were like, wait, how can that be? So I think as a Democrat, you're looking for answers going, well, how did that happen?
Right.
Whereas I think Republicans are sitting back and going, nope, this is what I thought was going to happen. And so they're not as curious.
Huh, that's really interesting. And that makes sense to me. So this is a hypothetical, but if in 2026 the Democrats take the House back, take the Senate back, let's say, would that make the conservatives wake up? Because I want everyone to wake up, because I feel like we can't get better as a country if we don't all wake up.
Well, it depends on what the story is going into that election. Mm-hmm. If that story from the mainstream media is, Democrats it's going to be a red wave, or a blue wave, and it's going to be, they're going to kill it and blah, blah, blah. And then that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Are we back, what is the story? And what's going to happen with that story as we get closer to the midterms? Mm-hmm. Are people, because I've said this too, I don't think people are honest in polls. I think
I agree with you.
So you'd have all of this polling that is done, and Frank Luntz even talked about this in the Gavin Newsom podcast that you had me listen to, that you try, as a pollster, you try to do everything you can to get the accurate information. And it's still, it may not be. Are we going to stop depending on polling too? Is that even going to be, is that going to go by the wayside?
The Democratic Party has got to get their shit together, or they're never winning anything again. Truly. Yeah. Yeah. And so, to me, get rid of the polls, because the polls don't work either. The polls are, no offense, pollsters, because I know you work really hard. One of the videos on the America's Fox Newsroom, it was Fox News Digital, which also it was an interview with a Democratic congresswoman. Very smart questions, and she answered them. They were very respectful. But then he asked, how do you feel about the Biden cover-up? And she had said all the things that I'm like, yep, that's good. You understand what's going on? And she goes, let's not focus on the past. And I thought I was going to throw my phone. I was no. And so what I also get concerned about is human nature. We're not learning from our mistakes. 2 years from now is a long time. Are they just going to do the same shit that they do every time, the stories they tell every time to pit us up against each other, instead of really taking responsibility for what, it's a problem. What just happened the last 4 years. I am just horrified. And, America's Newsroom, they covered it a lot. And I also, during these last 10 days, have been consuming my own, or the left stuff, and they're not talking about it very much, and I think that's a problem. I
thought we couldn't watch our own stuff. That wasn't part of the stipulation?
That was a ploy. Just listen to the left for you, girl. It was my ploy to get you to come to the other side. And then we would have no podcast. So, boom.
Oh, who got played now?
Oh my gosh.
Can I tell you something that I went to a wedding in Houston this last weekend. We assume our husbands and our parents watch the podcast or listen to our podcast, but beyond that, I don't know if anybody's really watching and listening, and I hope that they are. The amount of feedback that I got this weekend, though, from all these people, liberals and conservatives, the first person comes up to me and she goes, okay, I just wanted to tell you how much I love your podcast. I absolutely agree with everything that you're saying, and I can't say that very loud because the rest of my family's a Democrat. And she walks away, and I'm like, I love this. This is fantastic. And she goes, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I just love you. And I go, okay, thank you so much. And then she even said, she goes, and I love Nicole. She goes, I want to be friends with her. I just feel like she's so sweet, and I love the conversations, and I can tell that there's a real friendship between you two, and blah, blah, blah. And so then the next person came up. I had another person, and they had nice things to say. I had another person say that she's ready to Venmo us, asked if we had a Venmo for We've Got to Talk so that we can get a wardrobe, so that we can get money for our wardrobe. And I go, oh my gosh, then you really do listen, because we have talked about getting sponsors. She goes, I can't really be a sponsor, but I can Venmo you some money.
Oh my
I said,
God.
okay, thank you so much. So it was so fun to be around people that, you get to see once a year, or, during weddings or funerals or, those types of friends that just don't have constant contact with, that just had such great things to say about the podcast. And then others who didn't know, or you'd be talking to somebody and they're like, wait, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, well, I've got this podcast. It's my friend, la, la, la. And they're like, well, I want to watch it. So it was fun. All good feedback.
Oh, that's so great.
I know.
That's so great. I'm thrilled. I mean, in terms of the social media, I guess I have more interaction, so that I do see that a lot of people are listening and watching, and thank you guys for listening and watching. Yeah. And that friends of mine will be like, oh my God, I love this. And I'm thinking, thank you. Like, it's so fun to do, and it's so hard, and it's so humbling, and just so grateful that truly, Jolene, like, I am so grateful that you wanted to do this and that you continue to want to do this. It's like, it's my own stuff that I'm like, God, this is a huge commitment, and she's got this whole other life, and she really does want to do this. Okay. And so thank you.
100%.
Thank you.
Who else would be able to have these conversations?
I don't know. I mean, we've been doing it for so long, and this is a funny story. Our niece, she'll have graduated by now, but our niece, Tessa, our eldest niece, sweet Tessa, we love you so much. She's graduating from high school tomorrow, and we're just absolutely so thrilled. And she's so excited and terrified and all the things. And so my dad was like, hey, I need to get some new khakis. Can we walk over to the Old Navy and get some? And I was like, okay. So I go over, and he's like, I'm walking out the door. So I said, oh, I'll walk over and meet you. And so I walk over, and I see him on the street, and my dad always like puts his arms out to hug me, and it's very sweet. So he gives me a big hug, and we're walking. He goes, thank you so much for doing this, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Sorry. And then he goes, sorry, Linda. Right out. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Sorry, Linda. And I just burst out laughing, and I was like, oh my God, Linda is part of our podcast at this point. She just is part of the vernacular. Linda, we love you. We do.
Oh, we do love you, Linda. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that funny?
That is really funny.
Yeah. This is an interesting experiment, and I think I encourage you who listens and watches on a regular basis to challenge yourself. Just take a week and listen and watch the opposite. I think it's really important. It's really enlightening. It helps you figure out too, like, there were a lot of times I was like, okay, I agree with this, and I agree with this, and I agree with this. I don't agree with how it's presented.
Yeah, right.
And I think that says something.
Yeah.
And so how do we seek news sources that do its best not to instigate? If we can get that message out, that little by little, listener by listener, viewer by viewer, that maybe, the little engine that could, one little step at a time, you get more and more people to start saying, wait, I'm going to be active in the way I consume.
And maybe consume less, stop
less.
Thinking that you've got to watch, that you have to have the TV on all day, or that you've got to have one version all day long. I mean, listen to a podcast, or listen to, have a conversation with a friend. Yes.
All of it. And I get it.
Really
I have to say, Jolene, when I was watching the Fox stuff, it's addicting. Like, it's sparkly. It's flashy and sparkly and fun. And I'm just like, whoa, so I understand why people keep it on all day. And they do that on purpose so that you watch all day.
Yeah.
Or you have it on. But it's like, I get it. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. I may still listen to the headlines.
You might?
Yeah, I might. As I'm getting ready in the morning, just to have it on my phone and listen to it for 5 minutes.
Sometimes it's like 9 minutes.
Good.
It's like nothing.
Right.
And for what it's worth, I will from time to time watch. I will do my best to look at Dana Perino and Bill Hemmer. They're smart people.
Good. They are smart. And I don't think that they get caught up in the flashiness of it.
No, they don't
seem to.
They don't seem to. I think they're trying their best under probably fairly difficult circumstances, because I imagine whether it be MSNBC or Fox, that the viewers are demanding a certain thing. They're now used to it, right?
Yeah.
So to try to be a journalist is not easy these days. Can I share a new news organization that I think we should all have a check out?
Yes.
So I was with some of my chosen family 2 weekends ago in Oakland, California, where the Raiders have left. My friend Brian, he told me about, it's called Straight Arrow News, and the website is san.com. That's Straight Arrow News, san.com. And they seem similar and different to the Tangle. They're trying to report the news with just facts. They'll do a summary. They do a full story. They'll say, why is this important? It's a cool layout. It's easily accessible. You can also click on a video and watch it reported. So it's worth a look. It's worth a look.
I like it.
Do you have a would you rather, my friend?
Oh, I do.
Oh, boy.
Would you rather sleep in a hotel room that has paper-thin walls or get in a cab with a driver who smells?
I would sleep in a hotel room with paper-thin walls.
I know, because smells are your thing, aren't they?
They are. I thought you were going to say, like, get in a cab with a really bad driver, which seems to be always.
Yeah.
I have become such a nervous Nelly, or a nervous Nicole, I guess, where like Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, whatever, I don't take them often, honestly. I'm a subway girl, but because of traveling, I will take it to the airport. And it's just sorry, Linda. It's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. You get in a car, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
And they're crazy ass drivers. And if I'm with Josh, he just sort of rolls his eyes at me because I'm just like, oh my God, am I going to make it to the airport? Here's the thing that I keep doing on this podcast. I keep choosing things to fuck with my sleep. And sleep is really important. So I can't believe I've just chosen the paper thin wall. But you could maybe have some interesting stories to tell on the podcast with what you hear through the paper thin wall.
In fact, I was somewhere last week. I had to be in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was so excited. It was a new hotel that I hadn't stayed at before because I'd had some bad experiences in a couple other hotels out there. And I'm in this hotel and I'm like, oh my gosh, this has been a good hotel. I will definitely sleep here, stay here again. And I'm reading my book. I'm in bed. I'm reading my book. And all of a sudden the guy in the room next to me comes in and he's calling his wife. I heard their entire conversation and I'm like, wait, seriously? And then he calls a buddy of his and he's just having a great time with his buddy. And I'm like, okay. And now I've heard absolutely everything. I can't even concentrate on my book anymore. So I turned on the white noise on my phone and just had that louder than his.
Oh, I'm with
But I don't
you,
know if
girl.
I would have been in a cab though with a stinky driver. That would have been bad too. So,
Well, you can roll the windows down. Would you rather have a pause button or a rewind button for your life?
Oh, rewind. That is such a great question. There are so many times that something happens and I want to rewind it because I'm going, did I just see that right? Or is that what they really said? Or, yes, I would love to have a rewind button. That's a good one. Wait, how would you use a pause button?
I know.
Like, it just gives you time.
Gives you time.
To
like,
react.
let's say you were having an argument and you could go, pause.
Take a deep breath. Okay. Yeah.
Let me think about this. Okay, I'm ready. And maybe the pause is
and then
3 weeks. maybe you need a lot of time. It's like a big old timeout.
Oh.
But I like your rewind.
Oh, I would absolutely. Okay, anything else? You get to can we tell our viewer the big news? That you're coming to see me next week.
I know. So
Nicole and Josh are coming to Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Via
Ozark country.
Yes, via Northwest Arkansas. Right?
That is true. Yes, you're flying into Northwest
Missouri. And we are actually going to attempt to record an episode in the Conway Castle on the lake.
I mean, Josh will take lots of pictures and we'll have lots to talk about.
Uh-huh. Are we going on a boat?
We will hang out on the boat. I think the weather's supposed to be nice. We've gotten a ton of rain, so the lake is really high right now.
How far are you from the lake?
Like 200 feet.
Oh my gosh! So do you ever worry if is it flooding kind of thing?
No, up really high.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a Corps of Engineers regulated lake, so it wouldn't get too high.
And so your boat is just docked?
Mm-hmm. We're going to listen to country music. We're going to get on a boat. We're just going to...
Country music.
We're just going to drink beer.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
And gin.
Yes.
Okay, and gin.
Yeah, and gin.
We're going to eat good food. We're going to grill food.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, my friend, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Jolene, I'll see you on the flip.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.